Welcome to CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams. Thank you for joining us on Fox Sports Ohio and the Cavaliers Radio Network. Now, here are your hosts, John Michael and Rafa Hernandez-Brito.
We welcome you to the All-Star edition of CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams, John Michael, and the Spanish voice of the Cavaliers, Rafa Hernandez-Brito. The Cavaliers win 4 of 5 heading into the All-Star break. Nice little surge, Rafa, as now this team gets a couple of days off.
A couple of days off, John, and also the countdown begins after we witnessed the All-Star game, a beautiful event in Atlanta, everything that the league did for the HBCUs and everything you want to throw in there with the one-day compounded event. But now the countdown begins for 2022, and the 75th All-Star game will be held in the land, and hopefully we'll have life enough to back to the future for us to be there.
It's great too. The Cavs are on the clock now. You know, doesn't it always seem when a city gets named for the All-Star game, or even the Olympics, for example? The Olympics are a perfect example. It seems so far away, so far in the future when that announcement's made, and now it's here. I mean, the Cavs are up next, you know, and I can't wait. I mean, some of the details are starting to filter out in terms of what it's going to look like here next season for the All-Star game. And it feels right? The 50th anniversary of the season right here, 75th. It's going to be a beauty. I can't wait.
You know, as a New Yorker, now Clevelander, I'm learning every day a little bit about Cleveland. And as much as I look at history of this country, Cleveland's name always pops up, either Cleveland or Ohio. And you just mentioned the 50th anniversary, and everybody talks about the leather jacket that the 50 players got, and the 75th anniversary coming up. But just the fact that Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, our organization, our city, and our community will be in the spotlight and will benefit from this event in 2022, I think it's a big, huge reason to be excited about, and I can't wait for everything that we're going to be involved with until the game comes.
We have a great show planned. March is Women's History Month, and we will have Cavs assistant coach Lindsay Gottlieb to join us to talk a little bit of everything, a little bit of Cavs, of course, a little bit about how she's holding up during the pandemic as this season so unique and so different than any other season that the NBA has ever seen. We have our good friend from Cavs.com, Joe Gabriel, in the second half. We will look at All-Star, the festivities. We will also look ahead to the second half. Again, Rafa, nice close. You know, the Cavs went on a streak, a losing streak, a stumbling streak that they'd like to forget, but they break out of it, win 4 in a row. They drop the final game to Indiana heading into the break. But, man, necessary, very necessary for this team to get moving in the right direction, start feeling good again. We saw some of the things that the Cavs had cooking early start to rise again, you know, in terms of that defense, that paint protection, moving the ball offensively. Certainly a good sign, and certainly it makes this team feel a little bit better about heading into a second half that is going to be packed for all NBA teams in terms of games coming fast and furious.
And you mentioned the streak, John, and we have talked about how when you're winning, my jokes are funnier, and when you're losing, you know, I'm not as funny as I usually am. And we are as strong as our group is and as our leader is. And JB Bickerstaff has shown that he's been able to hold this team together through injuries and through losing. And that 10-game losing streak, even JB Bickerstaff said it, that those are the times when teams break apart, when the finger pointing begins, when everything starts blaming. And our team was able to stick together and put together those 4 wins. Yes, we lost before going to the break, but the fact that we have that foundation going on, I think is very exciting for the second half. Colin Sexton continues to, you know how we used to say he wakes up and puts up 20 points? Well, he ended the first half with 2 consecutive 30-plus points. So it's good things coming on the other side, and for sure we got the right leader and the right group of guys to put this together.
Yeah, and I want to talk to Lindsay about that, about, you know, what it was like. JB, to your point, said nobody fragmented. I mean, this team stuck together, and the coaching staff certainly deserves a lot of that credit. Some good things to look forward to also in the second half. Rafa, players getting healthier, finally. You know, and as we look back at that first half, there were stretches where Cavaliers didn't have a single natural point guard healthy. Didn't have a single one on the roster. You know, you look at the depth chart coming into camp, same thing to be said in the power forward position. You know, Kevin Love was out, Larry Nance was out. You know, JB, you want to talk about having the lab coat on, makes the move to put Dean Wade into that starting lineup. Guys went 4 in a row. You know, and I think, you know, part of that was everybody was just back in place. And you can't do that unless Dean Wade is ready and capable. Boy, he was. You know, he filled his role beautifully, didn't try to do too much, allowed the threes to play the 3 spot again, not to be trying to masquerade as a 4 and doing things that they're not accustomed to doing. Big reason why this team was able to turn it around.
For sure. And I think we got to talk to Lindsay as well. Not only we're celebrating Women's History Month, but she's showing how strong she is. She's going to be our first repeat guest on CavsHQ since we had her back in her first season. So she finally is going to join us again. But also, I think the coaching staff should include CavsHQ in the preparation, because ever since Lamar Stevens came on the show, boom, right?
Lamar, and how about Jared Allen?
Jared Allen.
I mean, Jared Allen's been rolling. I mean, this show is the key, Rafa.
The only thing that can stop Jared Allen is the stats people in Philadelphia.
Unbelievable. He thought coming into that Indiana game that he had a streak of 8 or 9 consecutive double-doubles, only to find out that a couple games ago they took away a rebound in Philadelphia, so the streak had to start anew. But some guys playing some terrific basketball right now. We're going to take our first break. Be back with Lindsay right after this. This is CavsHQ. We are back on CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams, John and Rafa. Rafa, I cannot wait to get to our featured guest here today.
Women's History Month, and who better to have on CavsHQ to start the celebration, John, who is one of the greatest women in our organization and in the game of basketball as well, Lindsay Gottlieb, who is meeting with us in a different situation than we did last time in Beverly Hills when she had just arrived with us.
Yeah, no question. And let's bring in Lindsay right now. Lindsay, the last time we talked, we were at the Montage. It was 80 degrees. We were outside. What has happened to our world?
That's crazy. I was thinking the same thing the last time I sat down with y'all. I was outside on a patio in LA. And then that was the beginning of the end of any type of normalcy, I guess.
No question. How are you doing this season? I mean, it's the most unique in NBA history. You're second here with the Cavaliers, managing everything you need to do on the road, all the testing, all the traveling, everything else, and having a family at home. How have you been doing through this first half of the season?
Well, it's funny. I had a conversation with JB at some point before the season started saying, he said, someday you'll get a normal season in the NBA. It's not your first 2 years. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. But relatively speaking, you know, we're doing great. Obviously the pandemic has hit people in ways that are unfathomable. And we are fortunate that we've been healthy for the most part and able to do the job that we love. And so it's a balancing act like everything else. My husband, Patrick, and Jordan and I kind of hunkered down in Cleveland from March 11th of last year until now. We literally pretty much haven't left. So I've explored every park, every thing to do with children that's safe and socially distant. And then once the season was able to start back up, like everybody else, you just kind of change your routines to make sure that you're keeping everyone as safe as possible and still being able to, you know, give the guys what they need, give our staff, you know, what they need from me. So a little bit of a balancing act.
We have talked, Lindsay, about since we met, and obviously you had just come into the organization, and now, you know, more than a handful of games, even though the normal has changed. How have you been doing with everything that has been thrown at you since you got to Cleveland, basketball-wise? Are you still enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you asking that because it has been a huge change, but I really am. Year 2 of anything, right? Any new job, any new undertaking, you just feel more comfortable. You know, you feel better. So from my relationships with people on the staff, just having a year under my belt, and that trust factor is gets better and better all the time, and understanding sort of the rhythm of the league. That was the biggest adjustment, having done college sports for 20 years, just kind of, when do you start your scout? When do you, get things done? When do you show film? All that type of stuff. I just feel, not quite like a rookie anymore. It's funny. I always talk with Darius and Dylan about how, things are a little smoother this year for all of us because we know what's coming. So yeah, it's been great. I'm really enjoying myself. It's been an incredible team to be around. We've had some ups and downs relative to the scoreboard, but the camaraderie, the togetherness, the mission, the vision has always been unwavering. And that's, largely because of JB and the vision that he's set. And so it's just a great thing to be a part of.
Well, it's had to be through the long stretch, and then the Cavs come out of it, winning 4 of their final 5. What was it, Lindsay, during that stretch? We heard the words of JB saying this team never splintered. It was always the same in terms of the chemistry, even though we weren't getting the results that we wanted. The Cavs do come out of it on the other side with some momentum now heading into the second part of the season. But as you saw it, what carried this team through that stretch and led to this team coming out of it and getting to where it is right now?
I think continuing to focus throughout the tough stretch on what we needed to do to get better. To JB's point, we weren't dealing with things that kind of take you off into left field, right? In terms of any fracturing or any, difficulties. It was just, okay, what do we need to get better at? And I even think before the scoreboard started to shift, you saw us getting back to how we want to play, really moving the ball, generating open shots, making a concerted effort on the defensive end to play the way we want to play that helps us be successful given our, our personnel and our style. And we saw that shifting even before we actually made shots. I think that OKC game, we lost, but started to get the looks that we wanted. They just didn't go down. And then from there, we shot the ball well in Atlanta, and it really felt like us again. Or I guess I should say at home against Atlanta. And then, we got a little bit of momentum. And then, this is a crazy league with a lot of talented people. Momentum is a real thing. So now you see the ball go in, now you win one. Well, now it's like, why can't we win the next one? And all of a sudden it's, a little bit of a streak there, and, and feeling good. And, we dropped that one at the end that we're disappointed about, but I think it, finding our rhythm again is really important. And then, I think having Dean Wade, step into that role at the 4, wasn't just all him, but this idea of maybe a comfortability around, his size at that spot, and, what he does in the pick and roll in terms of the ability to pop and shoot the 3, kind of, maybe leveled us in some ways. Everyone got back to a little bit more of their traditional position and could feel comfortable playing in rhythm.
Lisa, we're happy to have you here and talk basketball all day if we could, but we really wanted to celebrate with you the group of amazing women that we have at the Cavaliers organization, and the group Empower, that you guys are doing amazing things to make sure that the first woman doing this, the first woman doing that is no longer news. But this month we allow ourselves to make women's news because it's Women's History Month. And can you talk a little bit about the group Empower and what is it that the group is trying to do, not only for the women in our organization, but also for the women as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for you to bring up, because I think if a lot of people think of, the women in the Cavs organization, it's the focal point would be on me largely because it's the most public position. But I think on the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse side, the employees, it's almost 35% of the employees are women, which is unbelievable. That's in business and tickets and marketing and creative in so many different areas. And I think it's really important for, young girls and young women to know, if you're interested in, math or marketing or business, there's a place for you in sports. It doesn't have to just be coaching or playing. And I think the Cavs do an unbelievable job. I think we're in the top 5 in the NBA of women in positions in our organization. And that's just a really cool thing. And so the women of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse have a group called Empower Her, where we just have an initiative to raise each other up, to continue to give back in the community, to be a resource for one another, to make sure that people are in positions to be successful in the jobs that they have. And so it's a really unique thing to be a part of, and something that I'm really proud of our organization for having.
150 women organizational wide. And as Lindsay said, top 5 in terms of women at the VP level or greater. And, Lindsay, it's not only us who are appreciative of what you do and what all the great women do throughout the organization. There are a couple of others who are appreciative of particularly your work. And we want to give you a look at some people who just wanted to say hi and say thanks.
We had so many of them. We could only pick 2, and
Right.
This is one of them.
Oh my gosh.
Your mommy, coach, wife, and runner-up to Papa Shot. We just want to say that we admire your strength, your courage, your will, your ambition, and your fire to continue to break down barriers and represent what women can do. Because we know that your legacy is all about the she can woman. And because of that, we are inspired by everything that you do every single day. And so we just wanted to wish you a happy International Women's Day and say that we love you, that we respect you, and that we are inspired by everything that you're doing. Oh, and by the way, Jay and I drew up some new plays with some off-ball action that you are absolutely going to love. So hurry up so we can get back to work. We love you.
So you guys are going to make me cry here on the show on International Women's Day.
There's so many fans of you here in Cleveland and around the world, but we could only pick a few to share. And then we have one more that wanted to share his feelings for what all the amazing things you do. And of course, you know this guy.
Oh my gosh.
Jordan, today is International Women's Day. Tell us why your mom is awesome.
Because I love her.
What do you love about your mom?
I love about when she carried me, and I love when she sings for me, and I love when she reads me stories, she tell me some stories. I want me to.
Yeah. What is your mom?
To give me candy and donuts and the ice cream and cupcakes and birthday cake. Bye bye, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
I know
Lindsay
you guys are
Gabriele.
the foundation of your life, Lindsay, because I know you share a lot of them with us, and we appreciate that. But it gotta be amazing to know that you have that strength and that support at home.
That is so cool. I will tell you this morning, so you could hear the woman you could hear in the background of Jordan was our nanny. And I heard her say, Jordan, I have a secret for you, come here. And then he came later. I was like, hey, what was that secret? He said, I'm not telling you, Mommy. It was top secret. So he did a great job this morning before I took him to school. But that's incredible that you guys got Patrick and Jordan on there. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But I will say, in all of this kind of talk about Women's History Month, like the allyship of men in general, and particularly, what I call my home team, Patrick and Jordan, it's pretty unbelievable. When this job opportunity came up, it was Patrick who was like, no, you need to really consider this, even though it would take him across the country from where he was born and raised in California. And I feel so fortunate. And I hope that all women have a supportive family in the way that I do, because it allows me to kind of have this unusual life that we lead in the NBA.
Great stuff, Lindsay. And I like how he was in a hurry too. He was like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I got so many things to do before school. I got to go.
That's so great.
Lindsay, before we let you go, like I said, it's always great to visit with you, friend of the show. Your thoughts as we go to the second half here. We discussed it a little bit, but your thoughts, for Cavs fans as we look forward to the second half of the season, looking to make a run to get hopefully into that play-in tournament and do some damage here in half number 2.
For sure. I mean, we're here on All-Star break, and I know it just sounds kind of cheesy, but I can't wait to get back. It's a great young group. There are times that our starting lineup is introduced, and I'll look at JB and be like, you realize everybody is 24 and under at this point. It's wild. And we're looking forward to the return of Kevin Love and and Larry Nance Jr. and Delly at some point. But this young core is incredibly exciting. I mean, we didn't even touch on Jared Allen. What a spectacular player, unique individual. He's one of one. I made him promise me that he'll never change. because he's so talented and so humble and grounded. So I'm looking forward to the building, right? And seeing how good we can get with this group, to seeing, how we can find ways to improve, to continue to play the way JB wants us to play, and where that takes us. And, every team is kind of on its own path, but for us, it's this building with this young core and then all the pieces around them. And it's going to be an exciting second half with some real important things for us to play for.
And also, I want to remind all our fans that March 17th is going to be the day when we celebrate Women That Rock. And we're going to be rocking at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And I know you mentioned it, and I know you want to make sure that even though you are the one in front of the cameras and your name is out there, there are so many other women that rock in our organization that should be recognized. And I want to throw in there Lisa Dombrowski, who rocks big time and doesn't get the spotlight that we all do. I think John should lend him a little light. But thank you so much, Lindsay, for sharing some time with us.
Thank you for having me. And I did hear that on March 17th, it's many of the other women in the organization are going to be spotlighted during that game, which is so cool. I'll have to keep my focus on the huddle and not the scoreboard during the timeouts. But I think that'll be a great day. And hopefully people will come out and tune into that game especially.
Lindsay, thanks so much. Always great catching up.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. That was also super cool to get the family on there. So I really appreciate that.
We thought so as well. More Cavs HQ right after this. Back here on Cavs HQ. Rafa, always fun to talk to Lindsay Gottlieb, and a nice surprise, her husband and son coming on to say hi.
I think she's an amazing human. You and I had the luxury to actually spend time with her on the road last year, and I'm happy to hear that she's really still enjoying herself, because we talked about how the rookies are used to coming to the NBA, and you and I have talked about her coming from being a head coach to an assistant coach, and it's a different monster. And I'm happy to see that she's actually doing excellent and still loving Cleveland and loving Cavs HQ.
Yeah, we talked to her about that last season, and she said, the biggest transition is not moving from the women's game to the men's game. It's moving from being a college head coach, where she ruled the roost. I mean, she'd done that for over a decade at a couple of different stops in the collegiate game, now becoming one of, 10, 12 assists. I mean, to the average fan would be shocked to know how many assistant coaches there are. It's almost the same as the NFL. You only have 15 players on the roster instead of 53.
And by the way, there are a lot more than the ones you see on the front row.
Right. So, I mean, Lindsay, a big part of what JB Bickerstaff and staff has been doing this season. All right, schedule straight ahead, Rafa. 3 games on the road to kick off the second half. Our first home game is St. Patrick's Day against, maybe fittingly, the Boston Celtics. That's Women That Rock night. So it should be a special night. Hopefully, though, the Cavs can hit the road, refresh, batteries recharged, pick up a couple of wins, and then come on back home as we get set for this second half of the season.
They come back for the second half to really concentrate and focus on making that run at the end. Now that we know that 10 teams will make the playoff, John, I think it's something that is there and is attainable, and is definitely the Cavs are set up with the team and with the group of guys to go out and get it. But it won't be easy. It's not just for them, it's for everybody. We all know that this season is not a normal season. We all know that everybody has to deal not just with the short schedule, not just with the bunch of games and the long road trips and short road trips and everything that goes on with the COVID-19, but also, mentally, everybody's going to be challenged. And I think the fact that we have JB Bickerstaff and the rest of the staff here, it's a plus for us. And I can see us coming out ahead on the other side in good shape. 9 sets, John, of back-to-backs, and 4 of them here at home, which you rarely see home and home sets. But it is what it is, and you can't sit there and feel bad for yourself about the schedule, but just go out and get them game at a time.
Yeah, and it's across the board for in the NBA. So I mean, in a way, the team that adapts the best is the team that's going to put itself in the best position. And at the beginning of the season, we were touting the Cavaliers' depth, which is nice. They're in a position that they haven't been in a while, luxury to be able to go 2 or 3 deep at a position. but the injuries have taken that all away, right? I mean, we talked about that earlier. You know, the Cavs have gone through stretches where they've been down a handful of players at a time. Depth is going to play a key role, I think, in the second half of this NBA season. All right, we're going to step away. In the second half of the show, we have Joe Gabriel of Cavs.com joining us. We'll make some predictions for the second half of the season. That's straight ahead. We are back here on CavsHQ. Well, as the Cavs strive to be champions both on the court and in the community, the Cavs are proud to support local nonprofit organizations through the weekly 50-50 raffles presented by Oswald. This week's raffle benefits the Cavs Community Foundation. For complete 50-50 raffle details and to purchase your 50-50 raffle ticket, visit Cavs.com/raffle. Thank you, Cavs fans, for being the diff in our community. Cavs in the Community is brought to you by Discount Drug Mart. We'll be right back with more Cavs HQ presented by Sherwin-Williams. It is the second half of Cavs HQ. We are presented by Sherwin-Williams, John and Rafa, joined by our friend of the show. He is the inventor of Cavs.com. He is Joe Gabriel. Joseph, good to see you. How are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's my day off, so tell Dave Dombrowski I expect time and a half for this one.
Well, I mean, you are paid well when you appear upon those. Yeah. We'll definitely put the word in for you. Are you your batteries appear recharged? You look refreshed as we are here at the break, getting ready for the second half.
Yeah, I feel good after that. That great All-Star game. I feel refreshed. That was really entertaining, but I'm ready for the second half. I can't believe we have to wait till the end of the week. I'm ready to go now.
I'll wait. It's okay. We'll wait. We'll get going on Friday, but don't get ahead of yourself.
Isn't it funny that during the Cavs slide just a couple of weeks ago, we were dying for a 9-day break, and then they win 4 in a row, and suddenly, you mean we have to stop? What? We can't play? We can't keep this momentum going?
It's just anytime you get more than a 3-day break in the NBA during the season, it feels weird. I don't want to get back after it. I do want to wait to the end of the week. But anytime you get more than 3 days, it throws you out of rhythm.
You know what? You know what's hard though? It's not only just there's 3 days off. It's 3 days when there were 2 of no basketball, no sport because it's only spring training. Although I was watching a little hockey, but it's hard when you gotta find what to do. Usually during the season, even when we don't play, we kind of have a routine of what we need to prepare. We need to watch some other future opponents. But when there's nothing on, that's when it gets really hard.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. That's the part that makes it the strangest. You just don't know what to do with yourself. So last summer, by the way, before the Indians began, was the strangest evenings I've ever experienced. I didn't know what baseball on in the summer. I mean, there's baseball on at night. What else? TV for? I don't even understand.
Yeah, it makes us realize how worthless we are without sports.
Right. So, hey, as we look ahead to the second half, Joseph, for those who know the show, they know you always come prepared with something. We don't know what it is. We've been hinted, though it has been hinted to us, that it's about the second half. What do you have for us here today?
Well, as you guys know, I like a little class participation. So, today let's do a little predictions for the second half. We got the whole second half in front of us. So let's start with something simple. Let's go with something simple. Who's going to be the MVP? MVP.
Of the league?
MVP.
Go ahead, Rafa.
I think, obviously the easy response is LeBron James, but especially what they went through after AD went down. I really like what Joel Embiid has done with his game since the arrival of Doc Rivers in Philadelphia. I like the fact that he's gone more in the paint as opposed to playing in the perimeter like he was in previous years. So I'm going to go with Embiid, even though that's the city where they yell at John Michael and take doubles away from Jared Allen, but I'll go with Embiid.
One of many cities where they yell at me. I couldn't agree more about, you see Philadelphia at the top of the standings. Why? Because Joel Embiid's game is different. And I don't know whether the credit goes to Doc. I don't know whether it goes to Joel, who by all accounts is in much better shape. this season. He's played a lot more games. His health, obviously, Ben Simmons' health, critical to the success of that team. He's had a whale of a season. I tell you what, though, if I'm in Vegas and I'm picking, I think you have to pick LeBron. It's just one of those years where it looks like if it's a priority, that's if he lines up the season for that to happen, oftentimes it does. You know how last season it was early, we knew that he was going to lead the league in assists. We just knew. It was one of those years that I have Anthony Davis. I'm going to show you that I can use him effectively, not have to be the number one option. Off we go. He leads the league in assists. You just get the sense that if I had to lay a wager on this one, you got to pick LeBron.
I agree. I think the wind is blowing LeBron's way. I think it's his to lose, and I don't think he's going to lose it. Let's stay something straight here. Defensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year, NBA defensive player of the year. Who do you like?
Be honest.
I gotta be honest with you. The Rudy Gobert is the name that comes out. You know, I know Giannis get some credit for it, but it's hard to go against the big guy in Utah, especially if they do and continue to do what they've been doing this regular season. I know Quinn Snyder and the ball movement has a lot to do with it, but his presence in the paint, it's something to give. It's something to give him credit for.
Yeah, I sort of lean toward Giannis, even though those defensive numbers have not been as good this season. Giannis last season won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, but it's hard to go. I mean, Utah's record, we know how the NBA works. I mean, if you're playing for a good team, your chances of getting these awards rises precipitously. And Utah has been that team this season. So, I think obviously that's going to have a lot to do with where this ends up. I don't know what I think about that one right now. I think second half's going to determine a lot how Milwaukee plays, how Utah plays. I'm not sure anybody else is in the hunt right now. Do you have anybody else, Joseph or Rafa, that has upending those two guys?
My guy is Ben Simmons, I think. I mean, he's the most versatile defender. He can defend almost all positions. That's who I think. I don't know if he will. I think Rudy Gobert is probably the chalk. But I think my pick is Ben Simmons, even though Philadelphia did yell at you, J. Mike, and it hurt everyone.
Yeah. But they didn't know it was me, though, Joe. They didn't know. They thought they were yelling at Scalabrine.
If they knew you, they wouldn't have yelled at you.
I'll tell you what, though, if Utah ends up with the best record in the West, you have to give some kind of awards. They already got picked last in the draft for the All-Star game, so you got to give them something.
That was, how funny was that Barkley instantly jumped on that too. Sabonis, for those who aren't as familiar, the last three to be picked: Domantas Sabonis, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. It was LeBron's pick. He said, you know what? I need some size in my lineup. Rudy Gobert's a giant. He goes, I'm going to take and Barkley got him on him immediately.
I love the fact that Charles called him out, but, was it a pun intended? Was it something? Because they said, they never played Utah in the video games, even when Malone and Stockton were there. I'm not a video game guy, so I couldn't say that. Right
The way it played out, I don't think he was taking a shot at Gobert or at Utah. I really don't. I think he just said it, and then he went, and then yeah, I guess Gobert was sitting there too.
Hey guys, which player will score have his first career 20-point game? Isaac Okoro, Dylan Windler, Dean Wade, or Lamar Stevens? Who has his first 20-point game?
Ooh, I will go either Wade or Windler because of the way obviously they shoot the long ball and we'll get a couple of more chances. I'll go with the lefty. I'll pick Windler. I think he went through a nice straight. I think it was 9 straight threes that he hit, and he missed a few. But I think he's finding himself, and he's finally getting the minutes that will get him going in the second half. JB is obviously going to find time and a spot for him in this offense. So I'll pick Windler for that one.
Really good question, Joe. I like that one. I got Okoro, and you said minutes, Rafa. There's where that's where my answer lies. Okoro plays the most minutes. You can see him getting more and more comfortable. It's been gradual, and that's to be expected out of a rookie, particularly who has gained notoriety because of what he does on the defensive end of the floor. But you see that confidence on the offensive end coming around. I see it. Plays a lot of minutes. I mean, one of these games he's due to have a 25-point night, and hopefully we see a couple of those in the second half of the season.
I agree. I think Isaac Okoro, I think he'll get hot and the team will feed him. You're right, John. He has the minutes, but Dylan's a great pick too because, again, he can bomb it out. He could really shoot it. So both good picks.
Always fun visiting with Joe Gabriel. We'll be back with more CavsHQ right after this. Back here on CavsHQ, we're visiting with Joe Gabriel of Cavs.com. Joe, you were rolling. All right, more second half predictions. Let's go.
Okay, the guys have the Cavs, I should say. I say the guys because I feel like we're going to be on the road. We're not. Guys have 2 shots in Miami in the second half. In Miami to snap that prolonged skid in Miami. It's unbelievable. I think it's 17. It might be 18 straight in Miami. They got 2 shots. Will they snap it in the second half?
Of course I want to bet on my guys, man. Come on.
Right. I mean, clearly you want to say, oh, you're going to snap it. But for those of us who've been around and seen just how things work down there, but I don't know. If there was a season to pick it, this unique season is the one, right? No fans or limited fans down there. Miami, right now they're ripe for the taking. Although let's harken back to last season, middle of the year, Cavs saw them in the middle of the season and you said, yeah, they're pretty good. But Eastern Conference Finals, you got to be out of your mind. But Miami really got it going in the second half. They've been dealing with injuries. Do they have that in them again? I hope not. As the Cavs head down there for a couple of games. But man, it's been such a house of horrors for the Cavs in that building. We've seen some of the most incredibly lopsided games. We'll see. All right, let's say yes, because this is the season. They're going to get them this year with things being so odd, and hopefully that's the end of that streak and moving forward into years to come.
I'll change my answer. I think it will be on this first road trip coming back, March 16th. We play in Miami because I don't want it to be on the second game because I won't be calling that game because I'm going to be doing the Final Four, and then they're going to say it was me that was the bad luck. So if it is going to happen, let's make sure it happens on this first road trip.
Now I'm rooting for it to happen in the second game. For that reason alone.
I already broke a 22-game winning streak with the Indians when I threw the first pitch. So.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Wait a minute.
For our fans who aren't as familiar, a couple of seasons ago, right?
A couple of seasons ago when the Indians had the streak, the 22-game winning streak. I threw the first pitch, the game against Kansas City when the streak ended. Of course, I have nothing to do with it. I wanted Sandy Alomar to catch my pitch, and they didn't. They wouldn't allow it. So I think that broke my thing. And hey, the rest of
it. Otero caught your pitch, right?
Yeah.
It was Otero's fault, not your.
But they told me Otero had to catch it because they had a thing going during the streak, and they didn't want to break the thing.
Well, good luck. Yeah.
Okay, you ready for the last big one?
Yep.
All right, will the Cavs make a run? I already kind of blew this one, but will the Cavs make a run and reach the play-in tournament? Second half.
I think they're definitely capable of doing that. I think we saw during those, final 5 games of the first half, this team can do it. And you look at the teams around the Cavaliers in the standings right now, and you compare these teams, you think to yourself, yeah, is this doable? Can they reach the 10 spot or better? I think so. And I think this team believes it, starting with the coaching staff and JB Bickerstaff, but I think to a man, this isn't, you see a lot of teams that aren't playing very well and they say, yeah, playoffs are our goal, but they know that that's not really a possibility. I don't think that's the case with this team. I think this team truly believes that it's better than its record is right now. You'd have to think that it is, considering all the injuries that took place in the first half of the season and how this team might look differently in maybe a few weeks. We don't know what the injury situation is like right now, but it may look vastly different in a couple of weeks. I'm excited about the second half of the season. I like that there's the play-in tournament. I like that you can be 10th and get in and make it fun. And if you're playing well, you win 2 more games once you hit 9th and 10th, and you're in a first-round series. I mean, I think it makes for some fun times. And I think this is going to be a team that's going to be ready to roll in just a couple of days for the second half.
I say yes, just for the simple reason that the way this season has been set up, with the first half being announced, now the second half, that now is the time where JB is going to change the chip on everybody. The first half, it was too early to think about competing for the playoffs, even though that's your goal. But now that you come back, we're close to that 10th spot. And the guys believe what JB has been telling them all season long. So I do put my money on the Cavs competing for that spot and for being on that tournament.
Everybody hates having injuries. Nobody likes having injuries. But the one good thing is the other players have to elevate their play to compete. And I think these guys have learned how to win. And in the second half, early in the second half, they should be getting their best, probably all-around player and a Hall of Famer. So imagine what that'll do for Jared Allen's game and imagine what it'll do for the young guards games. So if they get healthy, and again, the trade deadline's coming up, things could happen. Yeah, this could be a real fun second half.
Always fun visiting with Joe Gabriel. We'll be back with more CavsHQ right after this. We're back here to close up shop on CavsHQ. Straight ahead for the Cavs. 3-game road trip, 4-game homestand, 4-game road trip to close out March. You ready?
And that's going to be the repeating theme here. Back to back, 3-game road trip, 4-game road trip, come back 1 game. And you just got to keep getting one at a time and hope that Colin Sexton stays with his streak of 20-plus points a game. And, of course, Patrulla Juvenil Mod Squad, Jared Allen, continues with those double-double, except in Philadelphia.
Yeah, what a delight Jared Allen has been as an addition. Colin Sexton was rolling into the break. Before we say goodbye, a Cleveland legend, a friend of the Cavaliers, Michael Stanley, passed away over the weekend. We just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers to the Stanley family. Michael is in our thoughts. So long, everyone. For Rafa, this is John. Until next time, this has been CavsHQ presented by Sherwin-Williams.
Tonight we're gonna take no prisoners. This time we're gonna live our dream. Tonight the orange and blue delivers. Hard-working town, hard-working team. Oh, and tonight the hardwood's burning.
CavsHQ was brought to you by Sherwin-Williams, the official paint and coatings partner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and by Huntington. If you need guidance on your money right now, talk to Huntington. Welcome.
Cavs basketball.